Factor World. This is the James Factor just checking in. I have a meeting this morning in Daytona Beach, Florida. So I am cruising on the over, and those of you know me realize that my brain is a non-ending pile of stuff. Whatever it is in there, there's a lot of it. So just wanted to kind of get some thoughts out. Just thinking about my tournament coming up in Vegas. So I was kind of thinking about, I guess if everybody didn't know, I'm going to Vegas in a week and a half actually. And I will be bowling in the Senior Masters. So certainly my first national tournament. I bowled a regional earlier this year. I'm only bowling my second tournament. It's kind of crazy. We're going to be in June, my second professional tournament. So bowled a lot of little ones, trying to learn different stuff. But this is the biggie too, and it happens to be, to me, the biggest tournament of all of them. So what a start, right? I do have some local ones planned, but I just don't have the opportunity to tour or to hit all these small stops for regionals. I would love to have that experience, but it's what you have. I was thinking the reason why I wanted to talk for a few minutes is I was kind of thinking the difference between, being a true touring pro and, being a scratch bowler, certainly pro level, but, some of the differences between that and, what it takes to truly be a pro. And if you think about it, there's a ton of people out there, obviously, with skill level, right? But what makes the difference to me, when I look at it, the real difference maker is how you adjust to the lanes, how quick you can make those adjustments. So when you're bowling typical house, right, you generally, the lanes transition usually pretty consistent. It's not the craziest thing, but you can see people struggle. Still they just try to throw the same ball in the third game, and obviously that doesn't work. Scratch bowlers, the reason why they're scratch is because they make those slight adjustments, and you average 220 just by paying attention to some lane transition. Unless you bowl at the bowling alley I do, and then you never know on the transition. It is you could have some crazy changes. But when I'm bowling some of these tournaments, now that's really where you have to start watching changes, because of course you're moving pairs anywhere from 1 to I even bowled a tournament earlier that you're skipping 4 pairs, so you almost wrapped the house twice, and there is some fairness in that. But what you have to do is you have to be able to go from one pair to the next and then recognize the differences quickly. I was bowling a tournament, my son, or technical director, whatever you want to call him, he was like, wow, but at least you figured it out. I said, yeah, but Jameson, I figured it out in the 5th frame, right? So yes, did I strike out the rest and did I salvage a score? But the biggest difference was, man, if I could have got that on the 3rd frame, 2nd frame, 1st frame, right? If I could have made that change, if I had a ball rep that was pacing in front of me and I knew that this next pair is going to be much tighter, maybe I could have picked up that, that difference, 2 frames. Well, 2 frames could be 60 pins. I mean, it's significant. And at the end of the day, when, the difference between winning and losing is 1 pin sometimes, making money and not making money, getting through that bracket, all that sometimes, that's 1-2 pins, right? And we're talking, if you could pick up that one strike, that 1 frame earlier, if you can not make that 1 mistake, you're 20, 30, 40 pins difference. That's a lot of money. That is a huge difference of winning, losing. That's a huge difference of going through brackets. In my house, last week, another 280 something game, 286, I think. I whiffed the last 2 pins because, it's 286. Who cares? Who needs a 288? I've done plenty of them, right? Yeah, I tied in the blind doubles with throwing in 286. I tied. I left 2 pins, and I wasn't worried about it. I just chucked the ball and I missed them. I was frustrated because I I made a bad shot. I let the person next to me affect my shot. Should have got off the dang lanes and just started over, right? But no, I powered through it, right? So I said, I got this. So anyways, so I go there because those are just 1 and 2 pins that make a difference. So then when I think what the difference is, as I go into big tournaments, just think over 15 games, figuring out the lanes just one frame earlier. Think about that. 1 frame. 15 games, 1 frame. So that's 20 pins, right? Over 15 games, that's a difference. Well, that's a difference of averaging 220 and 200, right? But that is what will be the difference of making the cut and, at least getting to the match play. Because match play, it's only 3 games. You and your opponent will be, facing the same transition. You guys would be staying in the same spot, just battling each other, right? Whoever bowls best wins. But in that qualifying, it's having to catch that adjustment earlier, right? How do you do that? How do you, like I said, just a frame or 2 earlier, because we know it's the same pattern, but of course you got different lane topography, and so different lanes are going to react different anyway. And then obviously you got transition, so you got double thing to read. So, but I really think that difference, right? It's when that pro who has more experience, obviously more lanes. They've been on, a lot of them have bowled on these same pairs of lanes year after year. Even when they were younger, they bowled on these lanes, and they have people who have scattered them out, and they know what's, which pair is a bad pair. My one tournament I did bowl in, the pro tournament, there was a lot of local yokels there, and literally they knew what pairs were scoring, and they knew what to do. One person even realized, I guess they had some sort of spill on the lane, and that lane had a slipperier approach than all the rest. Already knew what pair that was. So of course we're rolling across that same pair. So she, was talking about it, and obviously, it was good for us to realize, So I'm going to continue off that thought. Just went through some traffic. It's Orlando area. There's lots of traffic around here. But anyways, just to finish that thought, it really did make a difference by having that local knowledge. And just think, on the grand stage, when that 1 frame, man, that 1 frame, 2 frames, just what a difference. So that's really what, when I have experienced already, but that really is the difference. It's how do you get in front of that? My manager or wife, we talk about the same thing. It's like, how do we avoid that? If you really, honestly, if you look at the scores in my games, generally, it's that first part of the game that you see my score. I mean, I'm sure you can go back and look at hundreds and hundreds of games. I bet you at least 75% of those games, you can see the front 3 or 4 frames where that's where there's a miss, right? That's where that split comes, that 2nd frame or 3rd frame, or that, you do the 9 spare, 8 spare, and then all of a sudden you throw 3 or 4, and then you shoot 220 something, 230, but that 230 game needs to be a 250 game, right? It has to be a 250 game. You can't survive out here without having some 250s or 270s, because you're going to throw a 180 game. You're going to. I mean, now some of these, small tournaments where you bowl sweepers and, it's just 5 games and you have, 50 or 75 people bowling 5 games. One of them are going to go through and not have that game, right? It's going to happen. Every single one of these tournaments, you have to average 250 to win over 5 games. I mean, that's just what it is. And when you're doing the handicap scratch ones, I mean, you literally are. It's very difficult to win some of these things when you're handicapped and they have 20 pins, which doesn't sound like a lot, but once again, 5 games, 20 pins, and they're really scratch bowlers, in sheep's clothing, right? They average 205 in their league, which they're probably 220 bowlers, and they're getting 20 pins, in this tournament. They bowl great, right? They're still averaging probably 230 to 240, but they get 20 pins. So they come out, be plus 350, and you're like, right? For me, if I get 0 pins, I have to average 260, which really means, right, you can miss, 4 or 5 times in the tournament. So, pro side, the thing I like about qualifying is I'm generally going to be a better qualifier. Come on, if you want to come over. Better qualifier simply because I generally am in there. If you look at my results, I bowled 205, 220, 230, 220, 205, 215, right? Or I'll pop a 250 in there or whatever else, right? But I'm missing those, those 270 games. I'm missing that, back-to-back 250 games to make up for that 205. But when you are bowling in a tournament and you have to throw a qualifying score up there, and you have to average not 250, right, to win, but you have to average 220, 215 to make the cut, right? That's a difference. So when I think about Vegas and going back to that thought, I mean, I really believe that I have a really good chance at making the cut. And then once I get to that cut, like I said, then it's mano-a-mano. I don't care who I'm bowling. I know I can beat them. That's the cool thing with anything like this, right? For 3 games, I can beat anybody. It doesn't matter who it is. Now, thank goodness I don't have to bowl against, E.J. Tackett or Belmo or Simonson or somebody like that, right? Look, there's something to be... that 20, 30-year-old, there's a difference between them and the way they throw the ball and the way, that I throw, which for my age group, I generally have a lot of revs and power and things that, that I stand out, which is why I think that over this next few years, this is what's so important for me to take advantage of my physical abilities, right? I'm 6'2", 200 pounds and still have reasonable strength and skill, so I have a couple of years that I feel I can, take advantage of that, and so that's what I'm trying. We're going to see how it goes, but I really do believe that I should make the cut, and I really do believe that I can go deep. Like I said, I'm not afraid of anybody. Why? Who are they? I know how to bowl, especially when we get, like I said, match play. To me, that's the key. How do I get to that spot where we're bowling in the same condition? There is no transition, and look, I'm gonna have to put together some scores. There's no doubt. I'm gonna have to make sure that keep those opens to a minimum. Spares, right? That's the key. Strikes will come. Spares are more important than strikes. I've always said that. And funny thing is it is true, because strikes will just happen, right? If you're at this level, you're going to hit the pocket. You're going to get some strikes, but you've got to be able to cover those, in betweens, right, and not miss those 3-6-9s and stuff like that. And so, anyway, I just wanted to get some thoughts out. I always say I never know when any of these are going to actually hit the airwaves. I'm coming up onto my destination, and I live pretty close to work, so I don't really get a chance to do a lot of these anymore like I used to. So anyways, James Factor out. Look forward to